Where is it? Yeah. Hi, everyone. Few words about me. My name is Valerii Bamburov. I'm a senior SDET in Rhine Innovation, and let's jump to the presentation. This talk is about best practices in automated testing. These practices are not in a secret. Probably most of you have learned them. But according to my experience, not every single QA is aware of them. And with these slides, you may either learn something or explain and prove something to junior colleagues or managers. And one more thing, of course, there is no single golden list of such best practices. So if you have something to add or discuss, feel free, we can do it in Q&A part in the end. But before moving to automation, I'm highlighting a myth. Unfortunately, many people, even some QAs, believe the more tests, the better. Like if I create 25, 35 test cases for my Jira story instead of 5 or 15, it definitely would mean that I did my job better. No. Every test brings some business value, but also for every test, we have to spend time on its development and its maintenance. And it's about both documented test case and the code of automated test. So speaking about price of development, I think it's obvious, but I'm highlighting the price of maintenance. Maintenance is what is the effort we have to do to keep test bringing value with time and with project changes. Some people ask, what if I just create test case and leave it as is? Unfortunately, common practice. Test case becomes outdated after some requirements changes. And after such changes, test almost stops bringing value. It may continue bringing value, maybe just like a bullet point in a checklist, and only for test creator. But actually, test case must be written the way any other onboarded colleague could understand and execute it. So basically, in this part, my message is when you add a new test, keep in mind that balance how much, given your resources, how much business value it will bring and what would be the price of it. I promised to share about best practices in test automation, but I think it's important to highlight that automation value of automation coverage is fully based on test documentation. And if your test documentation is a huge mess of lots of low value, outdated tests, automation cannot be anything else, regardless your coding skills or best practices you follow. And finally, before moving to automation, I encourage QAs to refresh memories, recall test design techniques, not only before job interview, please. On my experience, unfortunately, QAs often implement equivalence classes and boundaries, but often forget to apply other techniques. Test design techniques help us to efficiently cover more with less time and less amount of tests. And there is a download link and QR code for downloading software testing book I recommend. It will be helpful for beginners and experienced QAs as well. Yeah, cool. Now it's time to talk about test automation best practices. I will just briefly list them because without detailed implementation, because it would take super much time. Just in case you see something first time and it looks interesting to you, every single of them is very easy to find in Google and find YouTube tutorials. The first one is the most common, is about page objects and API clients. A little awkward to tell about, probably you know it. The idea is to keep all locators and API endpoints in a single place, so it significantly saves the price of test maintenance. Next is don't use thread sleep. and use appropriate waiting mechanism. Yes. Imagine. Thread sleep just instructs to wait the certain and much amount of time to wait. And that poorly increases the testability. So if you put in your test thread sleep for 5 seconds, for example, first run web element could be loaded in a half of a second, and 4.5 of seconds we will waste. But the next run, web element could be loaded in a 6 seconds, so test would fail, but application actually works. So in Java, there is a fluent wait that allows to wait till desired web element gets to desired state, visible, not visible, enabled, disabled, focus, and so on. And it significantly saves execution time and increases testability. I hope you see it. Next one is about attachments. Attachment with details of failed test, and not just the screenshot of the moment of UI test failure. On my project now, we use Kubernetes as a container registration platform, and Kubernetes provides its API, which we implemented in our automated tests. And also, according to my observations, not everyone is aware that with latest Selenium, we can collect, programmatically collect browser console logs and data from network tab. So it all together allows you, and we do it in our project, to collect a screenshot of the moment of the failure, backend logs, unsuccessful responses from backend to UI, and browser console errors. And basically, that's all I would need in case I have to reproduce something manually. I would open Grafana or whatever you use for logging. I would open network tab, DevTools, and reproducing. Now, when I have to reproduce something manually, I actually search for suitable automated test, kick it locally, and receive everything I need in Allure report. And speaking of attachments, I guess maybe probably most of you may think of video recordings. Just super interesting to me. Could you raise your hand if you have implemented video recordings attachments to your automated tests? Oh, nice. Cool. Please leave your hand if you find it useful. You watch them, you use it. Cool. Okay, I will think of it. We can discuss on coffee break or any questions. Cool. Controversial from my perspective. Okay, thank you. Nice. Next one I wanted to tell is using soft assertions. And it's all about the risk when a test fails somewhere in the middle and we wanted to verify something else below. And a good example of using soft assertion is when you go to UI on some place and you want to verify several field values, label text, and you want to verify it all. And this is a good example to use soft assertions and call verify all before clicking and moving application to the next state. But also there is an option, so if you don't want to use soft assertion, there is an option to collect all data from UI to Java object and assert the entire object. And keep in mind that when you assert object, there is always an option for you to ignore certain fields, like they were from time to time difficulties with timestamps and its format. So you can ignore some certain fields, and it's all up to you. Next practice I would like to shortly talk about is logging steps to the report. It adds more visibility to the report regarding the exact place where test has failed. So that's how it speeds up test failure analysis, and especially for engineer who recently joined the team. Next one, of course, about allocators. When you inspect your web element in the browser, there will be plenty of ways to set locator. And when you specify locator, think of its stability. So bright example of bad of bad practice is using indexes. Indexes and locators make them like make them sensitive to UI changes, and such locator will be broken soon. So on my experience, the best is to have agreements with developers about IDs or any kind of specific attribute for automated testing. Next one is about parallelizing tests. Obviously, it would significantly save execution time, but in compared to previous practices, parallelized run is something you should set it from the scratch when you create your automation framework. I mean, imagine when we left somewhere thread sleep, and it would be totally the same time consuming to replace this thread sleep with appropriate waiter now or in 6 months. But when you initially set up your framework to run tests sequentially, and some time passed, and regression starts taking too much time, you want to reduce it, you decide to make run parallelized. Depends on the project, but often QAs face multi-threading issues, of course. When this test works locally and sequential run, but in parallel they affect and break each other. So often later you make decision to parallelize tests, more time it will take to organize it. And last but not least, using retry mechanism for UI tests. Some people say it is a controversial solution because when you have a retry, you must not ignore such tests that pass on rerun too often. And in that case, it makes sense to fix the flakiness. But in some rare cases when UI test is just a little flaky, when it fails too rarely and it takes much time to investigate the reason of flakiness, this is a good approach to use retry mechanisms. So it will significantly reduce time for test results analysis and without noticeable increase of execution time. So as I mentioned, all information I told before is very easy to find in tutorials, but according to my observations in these tutorials, they say don't do like this, develop your tests this way, this will be better, because regardless that fact that both options work at the moment. And that's it. And I don't see they ask question like, okay, if this is kind of better, regardless it both works, what exactly would happen to my project if I just ignore all this? Why not? What would happen? And I will tell you. So basically, general answer for this question is it depends on the project in general. So if we develop something during a couple of months and we somehow sure that it will not require any changes in future, it's totally okay to develop some functional spaghetti that works, release and forget about it. It's kind of okay. But longer project lives, higher value following best practices will have. And let me show you my example. So in my company, some time ago, there was a reorganization. There is a colleague who created automation framework and developed automated tests for about 1 year and a half, 18 months. And there was a reorganization. He was moved to another project. I've got his area of responsibility. Tests were parallelized on a CI level, so they were 2 CI jobs sequentially. There were total 250 tests with duration 2.5 hours, and usually 10-15 failed tests due to flakiness. And after my refactoring with implementing best practices, there were no failures and 10 minutes run. And I didn't implement the full list, so they were test case amount was optimized, suite was parallelized, and thread slips were replaced with appropriate waiters. So release regression became significantly faster. And so I was some time ago questioned. So if best practice implementations brings so much value, most of the projects are long-term projects. It is a rare case when we have 2-3 months project and then let go. So questions like why engineers can ignore often best practices. And basically, the reasons why are based on that fact that applying best practices will take more time now, but consequences will be later. So it's easy to hide it under the carpet. And it's not a single golden list of reasons, but what comes to my mind is no code review, when management constantly pushes to finish, to complete tasks faster, quicker, please. We need it. And when engineer is burned out, and when engineer thinks that his job, when he doesn't know how his job is important to the business, when he thinks his job doesn't make any sense and he's working for salary and nothing else. And according to my observation, high soft skills of exact engineer partially compensates these pressuring conditions. So I mean, if something of this appeared as something temporal, engineer with high soft skills continue applying, following best practices, regardless the pressure. But if this continues endlessly, any engineer is quit or gives up and starts creating technical debt. And in the end, there is my final message to you. Find the strengths in long-term project to implement best practices and help others to find. It will be worth it. Thank you. Now